What's up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Sounds like I need to turn down my own YouTube channel here. But we got a great show tonight. We got Joseph VE3GKT. We're going to be talking about the Parks on the Air Support Your Parks weekend. We're going to talk about the N1CC Award and pretty much anything POTA. Real quick, couple of YouTube things. Make sure and subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. And if you haven't, I don't know what's wrong with you to start with. If you find the need to hit that tip jar, I would really appreciate it. My POTA goals cost me a lot of gas. Probably, I bet you I got 10 hours driving time in last weekend. So if you want to feel the need and buy me some gas, hit that tip jar. I'd appreciate it. And you can always check me out on Patreon as well. All right, guys, we're going to bring out our guest. What's going on, Joseph?
Hey, not much. How's things with you?
It's going good, man. It's going good. How you been doing?
Oh, pretty good. Support Your Parks weekend was awesome.
Oh, so, dude, I had a blast, and I know you were out there just as much as I was, so I know you did too. So how many parks did you?
That's not often that I'm out there as much as you are, but I was this weekend, and I think I did 6 parks, maybe. I should look at my I have pota.app on the other screen. I should pull it up. I think it was 6 parks, and I did a 3-fer, a 2-fer, another 2-fer, and then a 1-fer on the Sunday. And it was a lot of fun. So
nice.
Yeah. Yourself?
Well, for the actual weekend, I did for the Support Your Parks, I did 9 parks.
Right on.
But I had taken off that Friday to get ready and stuff. So I actually tailgated a little bit and hit me like 4 parks on Friday. And then I hit another one on late shift Sunday night after it ended too. So
right on.
But them don't count, but they counted for me because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
The 4 on Friday definitely counted because they were all 4 new to me parks. And everybody knows I'm trying to knock out West Virginia. I'm down to 10 parks, which is insane because earlier in the year I didn't start POTA till March, but I had a lot of setbacks that was keeping me from getting out to new parks. And at the end of July, I looked and I had 100 parks left to do. And I was like, man, I've got to do at least 20 a month.
Yeah.
But in August and September, I way surpassed 20. I've got 10 left to do in the rest of October, November, and December total. So I'm good.
So you've done like 90 out of the 100 that you needed to do?
I've already did 90 in 2 months.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So you, however, have a lot more parks in your area. Let's talk about that. What is it like to have that many parks?
So, to be honest with you, I've not looked at a lot of the maps for the U.S. States, but Ontario is really large. You know, people always say, oh, it takes a long time to drive across Texas. As I understand, it's about 12 hours of driving time across Texas, maybe a little more. As I understand, it's also 22 hours across Ontario. So it's a much larger geographic area. I've never been out towards Manitoba. Actually, you can see the map behind me. So I've never been, too far north or too far west in Ontario. I've done, the bit between Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, kind of. So yeah, with all that landmass up there, there's a lot of provincial parks and nature reserves and whatnot, which all count as POTA stuff. So in Ontario, there's 915 POTA entities, and I think I lost your audio. Is that me?
I hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I hear you now. Yeah. So there's a lot of geography up there, a lot of land up there that has parks on it that are not terribly accessible. So if you go look at the park list for Ontario, it's a little bit crazy how many of them are all-time new ones, never activated because there's nobody up there to activate them.
Right.
Down in southern Ontario, 2-3 hours from the major population centers in the province. The parks are starting, especially in 2021. to get activated and whatnot. So far fewer all-time new ones. But last year at this time, there were a lot of them. So about a third of my parks were never activated
I
before.
mean, I would imagine so because I didn't. I mean, that's a really big place and that's a lot of
Yeah,
parks. I mean, just here in West Virginia, I think I did 7 or 8 that had never been activated.
yeah,
And West Virginia is a little small state.
yeah.
It's not big. So I would imagine it'd take you a long time because I drove
That's
to parks this weekend in West Virginia that took me 6 hours to get to,
yeah.
but that's nothing like 20 some hours.
Well, I to be honest with you, it's not really achievable to do 915 parks. Like you could be doing park activations for years, methodically working through the whole province, and it would be super difficult. So that's not really, you mentioned it before. It's not really one of my goals. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So yeah,
And I understand that, but
yeah,
let's hope I never move there because I, I
yeah,
just I couldn't deal.
yeah,
Everybody who knows me
yeah,
knows how I am, and I won't sleep until I get what I want.
yeah.
And
Exactly, exactly. And if it's a little bit out of reach, it's not as much fun. But what can you do? That's the way our geography split up. Um, if it was two provinces or whatever, different story. But it's not. So um, yeah, what can you do? That's the way it is.
okay,
I've had some other goals that I focus on. So
well let's talk about those. What are those goals?
yeah. So at the start of my first activation, let's go back to there was September 19th, I believe. September 19th, uh, 2020 at Mono Cliffs Provincial Park. Victor Echo 0308, I believe, is the number. Not that that's important, but the point is, it had only been activated once before, for example. And that was Julie, Whiskey Tango 8 Juliet. And yeah, so with COVID and whatnot, and online school and all that going on, I just needed to get out of the house and go for a hike and have some fun on the radio that day. So I had an old Kenwood, SLA battery, SLA, some sort of lead acid battery, and it was a deep cycle. It was a used deep cycle battery, and it didn't work for. I don't think it even worked for 10 contacts, but yeah, had a nice day hiking, had a nice day, out in nature and whatnot, and I think about 6 or 6:30 Eastern, I set up for a pota. Just hung an end fed in the tree, and I'd had my license for about 7 months at that time. And yeah, that was that. Set up, got 43 contacts, I believe. 45, but two of them were late shift, and I didn't know what late shift was. So that's my only
Wow.
failed activation. So I got 43 in the first activation, and then two, 801 and 803 or something like that. And it was getting dark, and I packed up.
Like
So yeah,
that is something that I'm dreading. Is my
yeah,
first failed activation. Like,
well, failed, but what can you do?
I
Yeah,
mean, I know it can happen. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
there's things that can happen. I mean, I've had to stay out there for like 3 hours before to get my 10 contacts.
yeah,
But uh,
yeah,
I can't do it. I can't fail an activation. But I mean,
yeah,
a radio could go out or anything could
yeah.
happen.
Exactly,
So I mean,
exactly.
it's
And
going to happen.
if you have the time to stay out there and spend the 3 hours or whatnot, I've had a couple like that, um, one or two like that. Maybe not 3 hours, but you get the point. And if you have the time to do it, do it and get it done, and it's all good, right? So, um, don't even remember the question. What was the question?
Your goals that you're working on now.
Oh yeah, so I started there, and what with lockdowns and whatnot in 2020. Um, I was just getting really the hang of portable operating, and I had only done maybe 10 activations, something in that range in 2020, and then 2021 came, and I did my first rope. I did 3 parks in the Barrie area, and yeah, that really did it for me. It was a lot of fun from that point on, and so my stats just started piling up towards through 2021, and I think it was in May. Mike WB8ERJ had posted a few photos that I had seen on the POTA Facebook group, and one of them was, "Oh, I'm working on my N1CC," and one of them was, "Oh, I'm working on my 6-pack activator." And 6 meters works from a park, and I'm like, "What? 6 meters is never open." I always go over, not always, but I had gone over to 5313, and you don't hear anything normally, right? Especially in these solar conditions. And I had really been on HF only for about a year, and the first rig didn't have 6 meters on it. So, just still getting my feet under me as a new ham. And I tried it out. I built one of the antennas that he recommended, which was a 6-meter quad loop. And you just have your center support and a couple spreaders, just a simple loop. It's a quarter wave of 75 ohm cable, and you're done. And that antenna worked great. I built it. I got activated on 6 meters before the end of the week, and that was my first one towards my 6-pack activator. And by the time I finished that, what's the date on that? June 16th. So it probably took me about 6 weeks to do that. That
Nice.
award, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was the first 6-pack activator in Canada.
Yeah,
So,
that's one of the one that I put that one and the other one that I really want to talk about just on the back
yeah,
burner.
yeah.
Just because like I gotta do some more work on my antennas. Not that my antennas need
Yeah,
work. My antennas get out great, but
yeah.
not for getting 10 bands and everything
Oh
like
yeah,
that. But
oh yeah. So yeah, in terms of goals, it's not been so much unique parks because I don't like to just drive to parks. I like to activate the parks and make a bunch of contacts. So it's the goals have been getting good at running a pileup and getting some good contacts and getting my first kilo and my first repeat offender and whatnot. And once those awards came in, it was back to the big guy, the N1CC award activator. So yeah, and those have been the really big goals. And I got all of those awards within 1 year of my first activation, which was pretty crazy. It was a wild year going from owning an old Kenwood and doing your first activation with a used NFIT half wave and whatnot to the gear setup that I have now that we can discuss later if you want. But
so with
that's really been how the goals have progressed.
so
It's
within 1 year,
yeah,
not that's really awesome.
yeah,
That gives me something to push through. See, now I can be competitive with Joseph
yeah.
here. I've got I now have to get my N1CC and my 6-pack within it for the year now.
Oh, I'm sure
So
you could do it. When did you start?
I started in March the 21st with my first activation.
Oh, I
So
bet you could get it done.
I bet I can get it done too.
It would be a little tricky for some of the higher bands for the N1CC in the winter, but I'm sure you could get it done. So
So I do want to talk about this because
yeah.
I'm not going to call it cheating, but a lot of people that get this award, they'll they'll tell their buddy, "Hey, I'm going to be on 160. Come over
Right.
here on 160 and get me. Hey, I'm going to be here." You did not
Well,
set up contacts at all. So I mean,
I
what would
did. I
oh
I
you
did
did?
set up 4 of the contacts that I needed out of the 100 combinations,
Uh-huh.
but I did not bring another activator to any other parks with me.
Right.
So when I went to a park, I would set up. I would spot myself on the spotter, but I didn't say hey whatever your name is, hey, come join me at the park. We're gonna go get our N1CCs together. I didn't do that. I did um, excuse me, make the effort to go to the park by myself and just methodically work through the bands on voice or on digital. And that started because I was doing the 6-pack activator. Um, and once I got 10 or 12 contacts on 6 meters, there's no point in continuing. But you're running FT8 already, right? So you may as well just go to the NFIT half wave and run 10. So you get started doing that, and that's how that goes. Um, Yeah.
So that's an interesting point too. How much FT8 do you do on your activations?
if um I'm there to just activate and enjoy the activation, none. I enjoy running sideband. I run exactly this headset. Um, and I run Vox, voice operated transmit, and I can run through a pile up real quick. So I was watching one of your videos. I don't remember which one it was, but you were sitting sideways in your truck and operating the radio to your right hand side,
Hmm.
and using a hand mic and whatnot, and um, that it works. But for me, I switched to a headset in February of this year, and I'm not going back. A headset and Vox, in my opinion, it works really well. There's a bit of a Vox delay when you stop talking, but other than that slight delay, which is 1 or 200 milliseconds, and it's adjustable on my radio, it works fantastic for a pileup. I can just have my phone logging in front of me, and I can sit in a comfortable position and hammer away. So.
I have thought about going to a headset
Hmm.
and doing it that way.
Hmm.
I actually have the adapter to hook a headset to my radio and everything already.
Yep.
And I was getting ready to start trying that, and that's when my radio took its crap,
Right.
and I had to send to
Yep.
Yazu, and it sort of got
Right.
sidetracked since then.
Right.
But
Right. I
pile
remember that
ups,
story.
pile ups, I used to really when I struggle with them when I first started,
Yeah.
but now I just take them. Whatever I hear, that's what I
Yeah.
call. And
Exactly.
now
Exactly.
I did have some problems this evening. You always get somebody that wants the frequency, and they're going to sit there and tune up and tune up and tune up. Well, I had a guy
Yeah.
doing that, and normally I'll
Oh
just
yeah.
start talking trash about him, and I'll just you know I do I'll just
That's hilarious.
I'll tell the hunters, I'm like, sorry, some jacktard's tuning up over top of you, and can you give me a cost? Well, I mean, I started doing that. Dude gets on there and starts doing CW over top of me. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, guys, don't worry. If he would have asked for the frequency, I would have gave it to him. But I'll sit here all night if I got to till I'm done.
Yeah.
I did, and it's funny because the hunters tonight was so amazing. They would literally sit there sometimes for 2 or 3 minutes, me not doing nothing. And the second he'd stop doing CW, I bet QR's head.
Yeah. And they'd be back. That's
They'd be
awesome.
right back. I mean,
That's awesome.
so I mean, it happens, but
Yeah.
it's real easy to say, hey, we normally use this frequency at this time.
Yeah.
Is it a big deal if you move? No, I'll move, no
Yeah.
problem. But
Yeah.
when you just sit and just try to run me off,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that. Well, my
It's
ringtone on my text tone on my phone says I'm your Huckleberry, and that's legit for me.
yeah.
Challenge
Yeah.
accepted. But so what was your game plan in when going out to the parks just to get these bands?
Yeah.
What kind of game plan did you have?
So um I run a ICOM IC7100, and I run a LDG Z11 Pro 2 tuner. Um it can handle 30 watts digital. So I'm limited to about 30 watts FT8. And running 10 bands, especially this past summer when conditions weren't great, um, you need to get the most out of that power. So my goal was, not to exceed, the 30-watt rating on the tuner. Um, so I needed a full size wire antenna, something full size for the bands that I was going to use. So it would be, efficient on the different bands. So I built a linked end fed half wave for 80 meters. And so it was, an 80-meter end fed half wave. And there was a link at the 75-meter, 3.8 megahertz mark, a link at the 60-meter mark, a link at the 40-meter mark, and a link at the 30-meter mark. And I could deploy it as a 40-meter end fed half wave and use it with a 30-meter link, or deploy it, as a 60 with a 40-meter link or whatnot. And however it worked out, depending on the deployment. So most often I would, make the time, find the spot where I could deploy the full length of it on 2 fishing poles, those cheap eBay fishing poles or whatnot, and they work great. I have a spider beam. I stopped using it because it's just too heavy, and I don't want it to come down on me. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear with it, right? So I just use the Chinese fishing poles that give me 20 feet in the air, and it's good enough. So I, extend that 80-meter end fit half wave the whole way out. And then that gives you all the bands, right? That gives you 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, 30, 40, 60, and 80, right? That gives you, if I'm not mistaken, that's 9 bands. So between FT8 and sideband, those are all relatively easy. 10 meter, 12, and 15 can be difficult because the pattern on a long wire like that is cloud warmer. I'll get back to that in a minute. But initially, my goal was, because I was operating and going towards the 6-pack activator, was to get 6 meters first and get those 10 contacts on 6 meters knocked out first. So I would generally already have worked 6 meters at the park, and that would be 1 band. So then I could work 10, 12, 15, 17, all the way down to 80. And that would give me 10 bands. So my strategy initially was 80 through 6. And then at some point in, I believe it was July, I'm like, I got to try 160. I just needed to get on 160 and give it a shot. So I knew that I could tune 80 meters on a 40-meter end fit half wave. And I had tried to tune 160 on my 80-meter end fit half wave, but in the past it hadn't worked. So there was just too much RFI feedback. So I had added a choke to my feed line. It's a FT240-43 with 12 turns. And then I also, because I had a linked end fit half wave, I have a link in it. So I just added an extra wire to the last link and laid it on the ground. That extra wire laid it on the ground. It wasn't even a full half wave on 160, but I hit it up with the tuner, and I got on 160, and I made my first contact on FT8 on 160. And that was just in the city park. And I'm like, I have it done now. It's going to work. So my first activation on 160 went super well. It was, 5 or 6 contacts on 160 meters during the summer. And, with this super low, effectively random wire, quarter wave slope or whatever you want to call it. So, I was blown away by how well it worked. And then my attention switched to, by that point I had earned the 6-pack award, and 6 meter was closing up for the summer. And I'm like, I'm done. Not going to use the 6 meter and 10 anymore. And I switched to 10 through 160. And for the last 6 parks for the N1CC award, I did 10 through 160. And if I worked 6 meters, it was coordinated, and it was like the 11th band that I didn't need. So, yeah, and it was on SSB, not on FT8. So yeah, so that's been my strategy. At the end, that's what I would recommend. If you have a wire antenna and a nice way to deploy them, definitely focus on the 6 to 160 bit. And if you're there close to gray line at all, you'll be able to make your contact on 160, and all you need is 1, especially if you're running FT8, right? So that's my suggestion if anyone wants to try that. In terms of, the cloud warmer with that long wire so low, the last activation that I needed for my N1CC, I tried a vertical end fed half wave for 12 and for 10 meters. And that thing worked amazing. So don't bother with that 80-meter end fed half wave on the higher bands. The pattern sucks. Go try a vertical end fed half wave. Definitely.
The funny thing is I've never even remotely been on 160. I've never even tried 160.
It's a pretty cool band. Cool because nobody does it at parks. You know what I mean? So it's tough to do portable, but it's interesting to do. So
I mean,
it's good experience.
I have a G90. I could probably tune something.
Oh yeah, get a 130-foot wire and put 1 or 2 radials out and hit tune, and you'll be good, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've never even tried 160.
Yeah, I hadn't before. I it clicked with me that 6 meters wasn't working for me, and I didn't want to be stuck at 9 bands at 8 parks. So, I had to figure something out if 6 meters wasn't going to be it. So, but yeah,
And now here's the part that's going to really disappoint you. I've never been on 60 meters.
yeah, you have
No,
60.
never.
Yeah, I swear we have a park to park on 60.
I've never been there. Nope.
I'm gonna check this.
I'm like I don't know that the whole channels thing messed with my head.
Are you
I don't.
serious?
I've never been on 60.
I swear we've had a park to park on 60.
No. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. One day you did a park to
Yeah,
park. One day you did a park to park with me. It was
yeah,
on 40, and
yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
you gave me a 5.7. I was like, but Joseph, I'm on 60 meters, and he said, okay, 5.9.
But
And that's
were you
what
on?
and that's
Was
what
it on?
we was on 40, and you just said, all right, 5.9.
It was on 40. Are you serious?
I swear.
I didn't know that part. I
I,
swear, like I would have.
I
Dang, man,
remember the exact park because
that's too
it was a
funny.
weekend that I had KE8 RKT out doing his first activations, and he was with me.
Oh, that's hilarious. I thought it was on 60, man.
No,
Oh man.
but I
Well,
guess I'm gonna have to start playing with it and
yeah,
160 because now I guess I've got a new goal, because I'm finishing up. I've got
yeah,
10 parks left in West Virginia, and
right.
some of them I would definitely go back to. I've been to some really
Oh, I'm
amazing
sure.
places in West Virginia,
Oh yeah.
and some of them I just can't wait to go back to. My big decision right now is where is going to be my final park in West Virginia
Oh yeah.
out of the 10 because
Right.
I needed to be a special activation,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Exactly.
nobody has ever activated all the parks in West Virginia because I told you like I had like
Yeah.
7 or 8 that had never been activated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I know that story in terms of nobody having done the whole shebang, right?
oh
So.
I want to see somebody get
Yeah.
all of Ontario. That's just
It'd be nuts.
900 and some parks. I'll tell
Yeah.
you one
Something
that's
crazy.
hard in the United States is Florida. It's only like I don't know like well
They've
they added another 100 parks. It might be like 400 and some now,
yeah.
but some
They've
of
got a few
them
really challenging spots
yeah
there.
some of them you absolutely have to do from a boat. I
Yeah.
mean there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Man. Yeah. It's a whole different challenge, right? So.
and I'll
So.
tell you what that's another thing. Propagation is so different in different places. Like
Oh yeah.
it's hard for me to get out in West Virginia on 20 meters unless I am absolutely on the top of the mountains. Like
Really.
yeah,
Oh
I have
yeah, because you guys got some deep valleys there.
right. I have to be on the
Yeah.
top to get out on 20. But yet
Yeah.
when I was in Florida, I absolutely killed it on 20 meters.
Oh yeah.
In
Oh yeah.
I mean, I stayed
Whole
on
other
20
game.
meters the
Yeah.
whole time I was there. So it's
Hmm.
just really crazy. And have you noticed since this last little solar storm or whatever we've had, have you noticed how the bands has been kind of messed up since then?
Yeah. So they've been mixed up, in terms of a little more crackly or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
The higher bands have been open. They haven't been calm. Like when the solar conditions are quiet and the geomagnetic conditions are quiet, 40 will be really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear people out a long way. Um, but yeah, that hasn't been the case recently. Yeah, no, I definitely did notice that.
Yeah, like
Well,
I did a late shift. I think it may have been the day after. And
hmm.
normally I kill the East Coast, like I kill the East
Oh
Coast.
yeah.
But from Pennsylvania all the way down to Georgia, that night I had zero contacts, zero.
Wow. Yeah.
But I absolutely just murdered Massachusetts and Florida and went way out west. I was getting California and
On which band?
on 40.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Like I was
That's
just
crazy.
murdering that stuff.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then here the last 3 or 4 activations this week, I've been doing a lot of 80. I've been getting out better on 80 than I have 40.
Oh yeah. 80 is amazing for portable from parks. It works really well. But it gets a bit of a bad rap, and people don't experiment with it. Um, that first rove I mentioned in Barrie, I was looking at the log recently, and that last activation I did on that rove, I had 30 some contacts, and it was 80 meters only. Didn't work any 40, and that was in the middle of the winter in bad solar conditions at way after dark. So of course 40 is going to be closed up, especially in
Yeah.
bad solar conditions. And I got down to on sideband to Florida on 80 meters on a vertical.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've been hitting a lot of Texas and
mhm,
Oklahoma on 80,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's good for me because I don't
Oh yeah,
normally do good going west.
right on. Yeah,
I don't know why, but it's north and south I'll kill it, but west,
yeah.
nah.
No, yeah.
It don't.
Same deal here. Same deal here. I if I do you want me to pull it up? I can pull up my took a screenshot of the QSO map I made.
Yeah, that's fine. Pull it up
Yeah,
and
let me try to pull that
we'll
up.
share it.
It's pretty funny how the line stops right where share screen, window. There we go. Share. I think you can switch to that now. Yeah, so you can see. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see my. Oh yeah, you can see my mouse. Perfect. That's a really weird line right there, where it just stops halfway through Texas and Nebraska and whatnot. But that's all my contacts from the Support Your Parks weekend. I think that's 544 unique contacts or something like that. So
Very nice, very nice. You're the only
yeah.
person that I think that I've talked to that got more contacts than me on Support Your Parks.
I
I
think you're
think,
the only person that I've spoken to that got 500 also.
yeah, I think mine
So
was like 534 ish or something like that.
yeah.
And but now you did have a 3 for park, so that kind of gives
Well,
you
no. I had 544 raw contacts,
okay raw
and
contact.
then
Nice.
with the twofers and threefers and whatnot that I did, it averaged out to exactly double the raw contact. So I got 544 raw, and then 1,088 credit.
All right.
So
So speaking of the 3 for, and you probably know where I'm going with this.
yeah.
Last night I was on Ham Radio Clubhouse, and
Oh yeah.
and
Whatever.
James was saying there was a discussion about your one park being a 3 for. So what's the deal with that?
Uh, so Jeremy, AA4JW just asked me. Oh, I couldn't find the maps. I posted it on the Slack Parks on the Air channel, and I said, "Hey, I did a three for these are the park numbers." And Jeremy responded. He said, "Hey, I looked for maps of these parks and I don't see them. Are you sure it's a three for?" And I said, "Yeah, here's the maps." And I showed him the GIS system from the city and whatnot, and it's all good. But I guess James just saw the question or something, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
all good. What can you do? So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So immediately I was like, okay, well, so he's gonna be on my show tomorrow night. So we'll just call it out and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
No, it was a three for best I can tell. The GIS system, you click on one point and it says you can tab through the different layers, and it said, the Royal Botanical Gardens and the National Historic Site, the
I've never been lucky enough to
Burlington Heights.
to go anywhere where there's a 3 for.
Yeah, so I didn't think there were any in Ontario. And there's a fair number of parks in the area, but it took a lot of going through with a fine tooth comb all the parks um, with some proximity to some of the common twofers. And I was able to find. I have three furs that I know about now, I think, but one of them is kind of pointless because you got to hike in, and it's just like you'll have the shoulder on the side of a biking trail or something like that, and the other one is like
Right.
you pull off the side of the road and there's 10 meters, 30 feet or 40 feet where you can set up where it's a threefer, and it's nothing really super feasible. You know what I mean?
So
Super, super,
that
super
reminded me
easy or
of the
anything like
one
that.
park that I will never go back to, and
Yeah.
it was an all time first in West Virginia when I activated it.
Yeah.
And I've even had another operator say, "Can you explain to me how to get there?"
Yeah.
Because I kid you not, I did MapQuest, and
Yeah.
it took me to a guy's driveway. I'm
Wow.
driving around asking everybody where this. It's a wildlife management area, and finally I found a phone guy that works on phones, and I asked him. I was like, "Can you tell me where this is?" And he's like, "Yeah, but why would you go there?" And I explained to him what I want to do. He said, "I
Yeah.
understand it, but why would you go there?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "Can you just tell me how to get there?" He said, "No." I said, "I'll have to show you." So he drives me
Yeah.
way out in the middle of nowhere, and he gets to this final dirt road, and he said, "You go down this road about 4 or 5 miles." He said,
Yeah.
the road's going to turn into the creek. You'll drive through the creek for several hundred yards, and I mean it. So finally, I
That's
finally
crazy.
get to where I see a little tag on the tree that said wildlife management area.
Yeah.
Stop right there in the road. Run the Eagle One right off the car,
Yeah.
and got 10 contacts, and I was out. I was
That's
done.
hilarious.
I was
That's
absolutely
awesome.
done. So
Yeah.
have you had any parks that you've just come across that's just been absolutely crazy like that?
In terms of a difficult hike in, um, the first time I activated Hockley Valley Provincial Park was, I think it was January 4th, 2021. So there's a whole bunch of snow on the ground, and it was, below freezing and whatnot. And I had planned to go to a different park that I actually haven't been back to since. And point is, um, my brother and I had to. It was getting, dark at that time, late in the afternoon, and freezing. And we go to the trail pull off, and I'm like, okay, Peter, we gotta hike in 200 feet that way, and we'll set up the antenna, and we'll get 10 contacts, and we'll be out of there. But you know, it's one of those things where it just feels wrong because it's getting dark in the middle of winter, and it's below freezing, and you're doing something with a radio where it's your first hike in activation, and you're taking expensive gear into the middle of nowhere where you could get lost. Anyway, we knew where we were. We had been there before, but yeah, that was it. I think I ended up with 12 contacts on 40 and 80 sideband, and yeah, that was one of the crazy ones. I have been back there though, but it's not as inaccessible as what you described. But
Mhm.
something like that, where it was a crazy adventure, where I wouldn't do it again, but it was worth doing.
Now I
So
had another one that
yeah.
I went where I went, and nobody even could tell me the road to get into the place.
Oh wow.
And finally, I just pulled off on the side of the road and started hiking up into the mountains. And
Yeah.
once I started getting into green, I was like, "Here's my spot."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I would go back and do that. That didn't bother me. But that crazy
Mhm.
road, nah, I'm out for that.
Yeah.
So
So
we
did it
talked.
look like it had been traveled by anyone else recently, or was it like overgrown and?
There were some trees that were hanging down. I got under them,
Yeah.
so it was good. But uh, it's just a really bad logging road.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
figure there's a gas well there somewhere, and the gas well company
Right.
drives back in there. But
Right.
it was
Right.
just crazy.
Yeah.
So we talked about this on another stream, and since you've mentioned hiking in at the dark and stuff, which is more scary to you, hiking in and doing a late shift activation, or being in a really crappy ghetto neighborhood and doing an activation after dark?
So so would the hike in late shift be in like uh the rural parts of the state province? Would it be out in the middle of nowhere, or would it be somewhere closer to the city?
Let's go out in the middle of nowhere.
I'd probably pick the hike in late shift in the middle of nowhere over the um over the ghetto part of town.
See, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Because when
I
I'm
still wouldn't
activating,
enjoy it that much, but you know.
when I'm activating, I'm concentrating on the
Yeah.
radio
Oh
and
yeah.
logging. and like somebody can walk up on me easy. You know, I don't care
Yeah.
much for that in
I've done a few.
town and the bad part of town stuff.
I've done a fair bit of fair fair number of late shift activations where I'm not far from the car, but I'm not in the car or right next to the car. 100, 200, 300 feet. Um, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that over, something in the, you know, not the nicest part of town. And, definitely especially with the headset. Um, you really focus in on what you're doing, and people definitely can walk up to you. And so happened to me support your park. I was in the middle of a field and bright, lots of light out. Somebody just walks right around me and comes to the other side and like basically taps me on the elbow and asks me what I'm doing, but didn't see him. He walked right by me on one side and didn't see him till he had crossed behind me. So
See, I wish there was more activators in my area. I mean, there's
yeah.
activators, but I'd have to drive Howard. But I wish I could just be able to, like, if somebody would hit my local park, I
Hmm.
would like be sneaking up on them
Hmm.
and filming it for YouTube and be like right behind them. And when they call QRZ, just throw my call sign out right behind their head. I think it would be the funniest thing ever. Because
That would be hilarious.
you hear people say all the time, like, sounds like you're sitting right beside me.
That would be hilarious. That would be really funny.
It would be even funnier if he hit the mic and responded back. Uh,
That's
oh,
awesome.
funny stuff.
Oh yeah.
So if there was any park that you could go to activate, where would it be?
In terms of a lot of references, or in terms of somewhere cool to go, or
Just somewhere cool to go.
oh man. Oh, okay. So this is pretty cool. So the Great Trail of Canada is the park that I most recently got my kilo at, and it's pretty cool in my mind because it's a trail that runs all across Canada in all 13 provinces and territories, as I understand. And you would assume that a lot of activators would have the opportunity to activate that park across the country, and a lot of them have. There's been a lot of activations, more than 20 at that park, which for Canada is quite a bit. Um, I'm the first person to earn a kilo at the park, and that trail runs all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. So what I really want to do is run a pota activation from basically the Arctic Ocean, at the great, of the Great Trail of Canada.
That would be
So
awesome. That
that
would
would be,
definitely.
yeah.
That
There's
would
a
def-
whole Arctic Ocean sign up there and whatnot, and it'd be pretty cool to do a pota activation,
that,
close by.
that would be definitely awesome because
Yeah.
I'm researching, trying to find like the most outrageous parks ever
Yeah.
to go to, because my well now my next goal is to get these two awards within a year, but
Hmm.
I want to start. I want to start working on. I want to activate in a park in every state in America,
Right. Yeah.
and you know, and I feel like that's going to be really hard for me because
Hmm.
that's a lot of traveling.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I want to really go to some like really really cool places.
Hmm.
When I do this, like of course, when I go to Maine, I'm going to do the first ever Pota Park. I mean, that's just to
Right.
see what
Yeah.
it.
0001.
Yeah, that's just common sense. You're going to do that one, and I'll do more than one in every state, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, there's the Signal Hill National Historic Site in Canada, and that's I think in Newfoundland. And to be honest with you, I don't know the whole story behind it, but it's some sort of transatlantic wireless um, record was set there, or the first transatlantic reception or whatever. I don't know the whole story. I should really look it up, but that'd be a pretty cool spot to activate. They have there's a remote station set up there, and apparently you got to contact the people that run the remote so they can shut it down before you activate. So Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool spot. Because that's. Oh yeah, there's another spot that I want to do that I'll tell you about. There's some radio history there, and it's a pota park. So why not? Um, the other one was Bell Homestead National Historic Site. So we get on the radio and we use sideband, which is a phone mode, right? But the childhood home of, not even childhood, the guy lived there for a while, Alexander Graham Bell. Um, the guy who basically invented the telephone. It's a national historic site in Canada, and you can go to that homestead and activate it. And I haven't done that yet. I was going to do it because it was an all-time new one until about a month ago, and then somebody else went and did it.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's that story.
Yeah, this guy told me once. It was back when I first just started. He's like, "Yeah," I said, "my wife family, they're from up there around Panther. I think I'm gonna go up there and activate it." And he never even said anything about it being all time new one or anything. And
Yeah.
I look and seen that. So like the next day, I like shoot up there to go activate the thing. I'm like, "No, that's mine. You can do it after me."
That's hilarious.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever. Oh, yeah. So recently there was one park called Nashville Conservation Reserve, Victor Echo 5108, I think, and I activated that our Thanksgiving Monday, so the 10th or something like that, 10 days ago, and that was the first activation for that park, and it took me a few days to upload my log, and somebody else went to the park to activate it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I did the first activation at Nashville," and I'm like, "Sorry, no, you didn't." And poor guy got 52 contacts, and I got 59. So, uh,
Hey,
but
you
it's
never
all
know.
good.
I think that I'm going to be the first person to ever do all the West
Yeah,
Virginia parks because I got
yeah,
these first.
yeah, yeah.
But Tank Radio may have done these parks and still not turned his logs in yet. So, so Frank, if you've done this to me, I'm going to be mad.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I can't believe how long it took him to turn his first logs in.
Yeah, I
I
don't know the whole story there, but
I mean, Jason literally done his logs and emailed them to him. Said all you got to do is email them, and it
yeah,
still took him like
yeah,
months to turn in.
yeah,
So crazy stuff. And
cool.
all right, so we covered the
Oh,
N1CC award.
we can go back to the N1CC if you want. So,
Okay, if you want to
well,
talk about some more, let's
well,
go for it.
yeah, I have a few questions for you. So if you want to start chasing that down, right? So, I don't know a lot about your activation setup. So what type of antennas do you normally run? And do you normally run like mobile from the car, or picnic table portable, or what type of stuff do you normally do?
I prefer to go to a picnic table,
Right,
uh, out somewhere. You know, I mean, not far from the car. Because I prefer to run my Eagle One.
right,
I do have a tripod for my Eagle One, which I've never ever even used.
right, right,
But 'cause- but I mean, I've got you know, well, actually, I've got 100-foot coax right there that I could go from the car, but I normally use it and get within 50 foot of the vehicle
hmm,
and do that. If I'm going to be more than 50 foot from the vehicle, sometimes I'll throw out, or if I'm doing a hike in or something, I use the Wolf River coils.
right on.
Uh,
Yep,
so I mean, and it covers a lot of bands.
yeah, yeah, it does. So which bands have you used for parks on the air? And well, yeah, let's start with that. Do you know, like,
Let's see.
there's a page where it'll tell you.
You know,
So
there is a page that's supposed to tell me, but it never tells me. Like it tells
really,
me, like the park we was talking about earlier that I've got my kilo and my repeat offender.
yeah.
It tells me that I have 7 bands there, but it does not
No, no,
tell
no.
me.
Okay.
It does
So
not tell me.
I'm talking about which bands have you. If you go to my stats, it'll say activated park, activated bands, hunted parks, hunted bands, and I'm just wondering if you have made a contact at all, for example, on 12 meters.
No, not at
No,
the
okay,
park. Not at the
yeah.
park.
So
I
do you
know.
run?
I did a whole activation on 10 meters one day.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
cool.
and which made me so mad because when I had my technician, I tried and tried and tried. Now it's winter time,
Yeah,
but I tried and tried and tried to get 10 meters every single day.
yeah.
Calling. Now I wasn't a park activator then or nothing, but if I would have did that, I'd probably got the activation,
Oh yeah,
you
I'm
know.
sure.
But
Yeah,
so one day I'm at the park and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw it on 10 meters and I'm going
yeah.
to spot myself and call CQ. And I got like 13 contacts in like 20 some minutes. And I'm like,
Wow,
what? Where did
that's
this come
crazy.
from?
During the summer, this summer?
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've got 10 meters. I've got 20 meters. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to give you the 7 that I've got at Chief Logan. I've got,
So
see,
you haven't
10,
done 60 and you haven't done 180, 160, right?
right. I've got 10, 15, 17, 20, 40, 80, and 2 meter.
Right on. Cool.
That's a 7.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we mentioned it earlier, like what I choose to run 60 through, well, sorry, 160 through 10. So my next question to you is, have you run digital activations before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've did them. Normally, if I'm running digital, it's really late at night.
Okay.
I did a trip up into Tiger Lake area, and there was like 3 parks really close together,
Hmm.
and honestly, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be at them parks that late at night. So I was being quiet. So I just pretty much pulled in, ran some
Yeah.
digital, got my
Yeah.
contacts, and got out for
Yeah.
those 2 parks. And then the third park I was staying in. So,
Yeah.
but it
No
was
big
just easier to
problem.
run digital because
Hmm.
everybody was,
So the point is that you have the setup for FT8 if you
yeah, I can do
were
FTA.
to do that. So yeah, so for some bands it's relatively easy at certain times of day, especially in the afternoon, to get sideband contacts, right? So 17 you can make it work if you needed to. You could get a sideband relatively reliably on 17. You could get sideband 20, 40, 60 and 80 easy um, on almost any antenna. Um, yeah, normally what I'll do is I'll put up my 40-meter infit half wave, tune it on 60 and 80, and run that for 4 bands, 20, 40, 60, 80 sideband. So, but the whole point with the N1CC thing is, if you get to the park in the early afternoon, you can get your 6-meter, 10-meter, 12-meter contacts, and on FT8. And what's cool about that is it's not anyone close by. It's not like you're relying on someone driving down the highway nearby to be on 2 meters, monitoring 2 meters. Nothing like that, right? It's a proper HF contact, right, where it's beyond line of sight and it's on all 10 of those bands. You know what I mean? So
Right.
um, that's the type of thing that I've done. I've done digital. I would, when I was doing that award, I would go to the park, set up on 6 meters on that loop, which is an efficient antenna on 6 meters, and no transformers, no nothing, and run digital on that, and then switch to the NFIT half wave and run 10, 12, 15 progressively, right? And you can see there's been other times, especially when I went on my Ottawa trip, and it's even further north than Toronto, where you can spend a little bit too much time on 10 meters as it's closing, and then you'll go to 12, and you can see 12 closing on you, and then you can go to 15, and then you can see 15 closing on you. And it's pretty crazy how you can like just get right ahead of those bands closing. And that's why FT8 is really a solid choice for a lot of these things, because
Yeah.
you can't always drop everything and go to a park when there's some great conditions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now the only time I think I've ran FT8 at an activation during the daytime was I got out to a park one day and I
Hmm.
had no signal to spot or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I called CQ for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so.
Wow.
And, I might get one guy or something, and he knows nothing about parks on the air, can't spot me,
Yep.
and so I just scroll through the band, find
Mhm.
this and that one, and I got down to where I needed 4 parks. I was like, you know what, forget this, and
Yep.
I was like, why didn't I think about this earlier? And I just went on FT8 and just
Yep.
finished the last
Banged out 4 contacts and
the last
yep.
6 because
Yep.
I have this saying, I won't do 10, I have to do 12. I don't
Right
know
on. Yeah,
why,
exactly. Yep.
but I have to do 12, in
Yep.
case something I magically mess up and
Exactly. Yep. In case something goes bad in the log or one of them's a dupe that you don't catch or
right.
exactly. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
I've heard
Definitely.
about people's contacts not counting before, but
Mhm.
I've never heard of a failed activation. But I
Yeah.
would be the first. That's
Exactly.
what would happen to me.
No, I definitely know what you're saying there. So
So you're thinking FT8 for me would be a good choice then.
I think FT8 is an important tool. Well, if you're a sideband activator and you want to reliably activate all the time, it's good to have a weak signal mode in your toolbox if you don't enjoy using it all the time. So be it CW or be it FT8, it's good to have at least one of those other um, tools in the toolbox. I don't do CW. I have a nice, KM4 ACK build a Pi 4 deal, with the whole single wire USB on into the IC70-100. Works fantastic. So um, I think a proper weak signal mode like FT8, or if you do Morse, you can do CW. To have those available in your toolbox helps for bad conditions, for whatever other occurrence may happen. And because it's a weak signal mode, it will reliably get you contacts on bands that are not open enough for sideband. So that's my thought on it. And if you want to be able to go to a park and have the best possible chance of just getting those bands that you need, that weak signal mode is the way to do it. Because you could theoretically go to a park, especially in my area where there's not a super huge amount of hams around you 360 degrees, right? And there's no mountains out here, right? So it's pretty well flat land, and you could call CQ on 6 meters for hours, and nobody would come back to you. I never bothered with that. I set up FT8, and if the band is closed, the band is closed. I might have to come back to the park, but um, FT8's great because everyone's on one frequency, and
Right.
you could decode whoever it is from Puerto Rico, but you'll know that the band is not open enough for him to see you, and it saves time, and it saves the complexity of searching the band for a sideband signal or whatnot. Everyone's on the one frequency, and the computers can hear those signals way better than we can. So
Yeah,
that's definitely that's my thought on it.
that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Oh, thank you, William Collins, for the tip jar. I appreciate that.
right on.
William Collins for $10. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's definitely something I can give the
Mhm.
thoughts. Because I'm gonna have to do it. If Joseph can do it, I can do it. So I'm I'm Mr. Competitive.
Oh yeah, oh
If
yeah,
you don't know, just that's
yeah.
like people probably think that I hate Mike. I love Mike to death.
Mhm.
I email Mike and talk to Mike all the time and stuff. But when we're on a public forum, I have to call him out. Because he says he's the pota daddy, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
my favorite is he gives up all of his titles and stuff, and that's why I'm now the pota Yoda. Because he
Right.
said he's pota one Kenobi, so I said that makes me pota Yoda.
Photo one Kenobi.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
So
awesome. Yeah, so it was really cool, like when you start out and you see the numbers that they put up, the YouTubers put up, and you see yourself approaching those numbers and starting to pass them. So the day I passed K8 MRD was pretty cool for contacts and for parks and
yeah,
whatnot. So
I mean, I haven't threw that out there, but I mean, if we were going to do comparisons like that, you know, I'm
no,
just saying anybody can look those numbers up.
well, to be fair, the people that put out YouTube videos take on an extra level of complexity to each of their contacts,
And
and I have mad respect for that because I go out there to have fun on my radio, not to share the adventure so much. So,
and
and that's just a me thing. Props to them for doing the whole other 9 yards for the rest of us. You know.
and I do too. And now if I'm on a big time run, you
Hmm.
can forget it. There ain't gonna be no filming
Yeah.
because I don't have time for it. It's a
Hmm.
lot of work. Like when
Oh
I
yeah.
did this weekend,
Hmm.
I think I filmed at one park on the
Right.
tailgating section.
Yep.
And other than that, once I hit support your parks, I was like, nah, I'm good. I
Yep.
gotta go.
Yep.
but
Yep.
but now again, I I'll give you the full story. Okay, so I tailgated Friday day at one part of the state, which was about 3 hours away from my house.
Yep.
I drove home, went out and did a local late shift to start parks on the parks support your
Support your
parks
parks.
weekend.
Yep.
Came home and it was a late shift because I got home a little later, and so it was about 9:30 when I got it started. Did that, got
Oh
home
wow.
about 11, packed all my stuff, and at 1:45 I left.
Did you sleep at all?
No,
Oh man.
did not go to bed. At 1:45 I left. I drove 6 hours, and the next morning, shortly before 8, I was at the first park calling CQ.
That's crazy.
So I
Why?
I wasn't
Genuinely, why?
well because all right. So thank God I'm not monetized. I'm going to give you the map of West Virginia. West Virginia looks like this right here. I'm being honest. West Virginia looks like this right here. So right here in this area,
Yeah.
I had a ton of parks that I still needed to get,
Oh,
and
right on.
I had put them off. I said I'm going to do them on the Support Your Parks weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get up there, and that's what I do. I drove up there, but literally, there would have been no time to film because I did all those parks all day long, and there was some of them was really close. Some of them, I think there was three that I was like, do a park, drive 30 minutes, do a park, drive 30 minutes, do a park. But then there was some of them that, I had to drive a couple hours still.
Right. Yeah.
So I get home that night at like 2:40 in the morning.
Oh my
I had
goodness.
I had been up over 24 hours pretty much driving and activating. So
Well,
there were
way more than 24
well, yeah,
hours.
because I was out up
Yeah.
the whole day before. But
That's a lot, man.
but if I would have tried to film that,
Oh yeah.
it would have took
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then 6 months to edit the crap.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because that's a lot of footage.
Editing is
Would
just
be.
it's
Yeah.
just horrible. Like I can film a 10-minute video and
Hmm.
then I put 2 hours into it half the
Oh,
time.
easy. Easy.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
but now there are a couple. I've got 10 parks left, and of course I'm filming the last one, which I think is going to be Lost River State Park
Right on.
because there is a hike that you can go up and you can see 5 counties in 2 different states from the overlook.
Oh wow.
So I'm thinking
You
that's
could,
gonna
you could do
gonna
a
be
2 meter activation from up there.
I might can. I think
Yeah.
I might do. I'll probably do some filming at Cass Sink Railroad,
Right.
and maybe some filming at Bear Rock State Park.
Right on.
Other than that, I'm not real sure. I still have to do the West Virginia part of the Appalachian Trail. There's your one that you can. That I think that's 13
I'm at
states or so.
I'm at 17 out of 20 contacts for the repeat offender hunter for the Appalachian Trail.
Nice. I think I'm at 15.
Yeah.
So
So if you ever get out there to activate it, you let me know, please.
yeah,
And I'll go to the 3-fer and then work you once. So
there you go.
so
So
yeah.
now there's a 4-fer somewhere in Virginia that Bo goes to a lot.
Yeah, so he was telling me about that a while back, and it's something like it's 2 trails inside a park, and then it's next to the reserve that's the water or something like that. So yeah, something like that. I did the math once. If you went there to a forfer with a buddy, just one other friend, and just did park to parks on different modes on different bands, you could get like 600 contacts or something. So if you went to 2 meters and did FM and sideband, and then possibly AM, and then you went to 6 meters and you did FM sideband, AM, FT8, and then you went to 10 meters, so on, so forth down the bands. It's like 600 something contacts, and they'd all be park to parks to the same park.
I'll tell you what, support your parks. I got so many parks. I think I went like when the awards come out, I'll probably get like 3. There'll be like 2 or 3 I won't even get a print because I went up so many park to parks.
I noticed something funny about the park to park awards is that they don't issue several at a time. They only issue 25 at a time. So I have, if I go to my profile here and I go to my logbook, give me just a quick second. It's at 400 something park to parks, but I only got the award for 350, and then it'll go 375, and then it'll go 400.
That's because Jason is the one that puts them out, and
right, but he only approves one at a time, one step at a time.
Oh, is it?
He doesn't approve 3 steps at the same time, and it must just be the way they're thinking. Yeah, so I have 452 park to parks in the system right now.
Nah, he didn't do. He don't do that for me because I think it was like I went from 300 one night, and the next day he put out awards, and I was at 375. So I didn't see 325 or 350. I just seen 375.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I'm getting ready to do that again. I think I'm at 450.
Yeah,
so we're close in park.
We're starting to get pretty close in the stats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not the parks on my part, but the contacts and whatnot. So, yeah.
How many contacts do you have?
With the last upload, the last upload was 1088 for support your parks weekend, and it was, I guess, 212 outside of that. So it was exactly 1,300 contacts that got uploaded. So I'm now at 6,299, and then those 2 contacts from that first failed activation don't count. So it's 6,301 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where I don't know exactly.
I think you're around 73. I think you're around 7,300. I looked recently.
No, it depends on when you looked. I'm probably closer to 8 now.
Well, I'm sure if you have logs that are uploaded, I'm not sure if they didn't go through or not, but it says 7485 for you right now. So
okay, 7485, and almost another 200 to go in from today. I got like I don't know, 70 some both times. So
yeah, right on.
I'm getting there.
Oh yeah.
Dawn told me a few ham radios ago that to come talk to him when I got because I told him because they're all time saying you're always on 40 meter, and I tell them I'm the 40 meter slayer because some guy called me that one day.
Yeah.
And he's like, how many you got? And at the time it was like right at 5,040, just 40 meters.
Right.
And and he said, well, come talk to me when you got 7,000 or 8,000. So I told him last night, I was like, when all the uploads are up for this week, I'll have 7,000. He said, well, come talk to me when you got 10. And and then somebody said, Don, I just looked up your stats, and you don't have 10 total activating. Yeah, Don gives me crap, but I love Don to death. He's always hunting me.
Oh yeah, definitely. Same here.
Don's a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. I guess we better start wrapping it up.
It's been a lot of fun, James. Thank you very much for having me on.
I appreciate you coming out. You gave me some new stuff to work on, and I love competing with people. That's just me.
Oh yeah,
So,
just because it's not a contest doesn't mean we can't be a little bit
yeah,
competitive. So
they say that all the time. Pota's not a contest. I was like, for you? Heck, I compete. I compete with myself.
yeah, exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so but it's been a lot of fun.
Right on.
Everybody,
Yeah,
I
likewise.
appreciate everybody tonight. Work this guy park to park. Hunt him
You
when he's
betcha. Well,
hunting.
what was
And
it? Six park to park contacts or something?
what, this weekend?
Yeah, 'cause I was at a
Probably,
3 for both times, I think.
probably,
Yeah, something like
probably
that.
6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry I interrupted. My
I,
apologies.
I need to look and see when our first contact was, because it was before I
Oh,
even started YouTube.
well, I just had that up a little while ago. I'll look for that. You say your bit and
All right. But everybody, I appreciate you. Make sure and check out Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. Watch all my videos. Hit that notification bell. And, if you want really interactive stuff, go pick up my Patreon. Them guys, they get a daily update video every day. They get early access. They get monthly phone calls. I mean, it's well worth the little bit of money you spend, and it's putting gas in my tank. I get 12 miles a gallon, so you can imagine what it costs me to POTA.
oh yeah.
But I appreciate you guys, and until next time, thanks for sharing my adventure with me. 73.
73.